Hello, my name is Jay Damle, and I'm the author of the book on schedule delays. Why do they happen and how to avoid them? The book is available on Amazon. I also have a website www.bookunscheduledelays.com. Please visit the website as there are few free bonuses available for you when you visit the site. In this video, we will discuss perhaps one of the most important chapters of the book, and that of setting up an achievable baseline schedule. The next chapter of validating that baseline schedule and the following chapter of maintaining the schedule throughout the life of your project to avoid schedule delays are also equally important. These three chapters are perhaps the heart of the book. Developing a baseline schedule is like preparing a roadmap that you usually develop before you start your journey from point A to point B. When do you plan to start your journey from point A? And what stops will you make along the way? And when? And when will you reach point B? And if you absolutely must reach the point B by a certain promised date, then you will be extremely diligent of adding details to your roadmap, maybe build some contingencies for any unplanned events to get that comfortable feeling that you will reach your destination on time. While preparing a baseline schedule, you will pretty much follow the similar thought process described above. Depending on how complex your project is, this roadmap will match the complexity as well. In this chapter, we will explore how to prepare this roadmap, which will guide you and your project team throughout the life of your project, so that you can reach your desired destination, that is, completion of your project as planned on time. In the next chapter, we will discuss what tools you will use to make sure that your baseline schedule is achievable and you can defend that in front of your company or client senior executives. If your project is in the millions of dollars or more, you will need to take an extra step well before your project begins. And that is what I call developing a plan for the plan. A mini roadmap, if you will, that will detail how will you develop the baseline schedule in the first place. Why, you may ask? Because since your project is in the millions or maybe perhaps $1 billion plus, you need to make sure that at the end of traveling this mini roadmap, you will have a baseline schedule that is well researched, fully discussed, and bought into by every stakeholder. To make my point a little closer to reality, I will take a specific example of a grassroots refinery that I worked on. In this case, the duration given to us to prepare this mini plan was 6 weeks. And what was available to my group to do this task? We knew about the project work scope. We knew about the work breakdown structure, or WBS, the organization breakdown structure, or OBS, and therefore all stakeholders and their names, work methodology document or execution strategy, standard discipline logic diagrams, all work locations, a rough site and plot plan, construction and startup departments preliminary agreement on how they wanted to build an startup facility, please visit my website www.bookonsscheduledelays.com to get a copy of my book where I detail the plan for the plan process. When you do develop your baseline schedule, you need to carry out a forward pass and a backward pass to ensure that a logic, duration, and resource-driven schedule that has addressed all of your customers' concerns. Again, forward and backward pass are just the CPM tool lingo, which we have addressed in our previous videos. For this refinery example, in your forward pass, you will first talk to the engineers, understand their thought process, then your purchasing or subcontracts group, followed by the construction and startup groups. But within the engineering alone, you have several disciplines: process, mechanical, electrical, control systems, just to name a few. But as many as there could be 10 or 11 and perhaps more departments and disciplines that you have, but you must talk to every single one of them. Sit down with them and understand what information do they need to prepare their deliverables. Where or which department or discipline will they get that information from, and when, and how much time will they need to develop each deliverable. However, for a large complex project, it is the construction department that dictates in which construction area sequence they will build the plant, since they are the ones who are handling all the heavy lifts, heavy haul equipment in and out of the plant. For that, you need to carry out a backward pass of your schedule to make sure that you have taken care of the priorities set forth by your construction and testing teams. If your company has developed a standard logic diagram for each discipline and department work process, it will come in extremely handy when you are developing this baseline schedule. It does take significant amount of efforts to prepare these standard logic diagrams. If your organization or a company does not have them, my recommendation is to undertake that effort. They are well worth in the long run. Some key do's and don'ts while preparing the baseline schedule. First, the do's. Use minimum constraints, 2 if you can, 1 for the project start and 1 for the project finish. If your contract asks for defined intermediate milestones, add them in addition to the 2 constraints mentioned above. Use standard predecessor-successor activity relationships of FS or finish to start, SS or start to start, or FF, which is finish to finish logic ties between your predecessor and successor activities. And also use only the positive lags. And eliminate any excessive lag values that you may have between these activity relationships. Do verify that your activity durations are defendable. Add necessary intelligence to your activity ID and activity code structures to allow you to dissect the schedule and make tailor-made reports with your customers in mind. Use the calendar feature of your software program to bring your schedule as close to reality as possible. Resource load your schedule with the available quantity and man-hour information from your estimating group. Now, some of the don'ts. Do not use SF or start to finish logic relationships, or negative lags in your schedule. Don't use too many constraints. If you do, your schedule analysis will be proportionately more difficult. Do not leave open ends in the schedule, except for the first and the last activity in the network. What that means is every other activity in your schedule must have at least one predecessor and at least one successor. Do not use many bells and whistles that the today's computer software packages offer. If you do, maintaining your schedule in pristine conditions as you status it will be difficult. Again, because of the space and video length limitations, I cannot further elaborate on the do's and don'ts. But please visit my website www.bookunscheduleddelays.com to purchase a copy of the book where I do elaborate on these important points further. If you do want to get in touch with me, please send me an email at vadamle01@gmail.com. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.